Okay, so goals. You have them, I have them, but simply put, if we don't set good goals and follow through with them, we're not going to achieve what we want. So that is what this video is about. My name is Isaiah, and I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide with tips on how to set good goals and how to follow through with them to achieve your future successes. So let's jump into it. So the first step is determining what goal you actually want to achieve. So that is going to require you sitting down and reflecting and getting a better sense of what your aspirations are overall for your life, your career, your schoolwork, everything. Then you want to keep in mind a goal that is going to be in line with those things. In general, a good goal tends to have a strong why that you want to complete it. If your goal has a flimsy reason or isn't really in line with what you see yourself as in the future, it's just going to fall by the wayside. So make sure you do that thinking ahead of time, because it's going to help with your motivation and pushing you forward later down the line. So now onto formulating a goal itself. For this, I like to use the SMART framework. This has been a framework that's around for many years in business that helps them to make good goals. But I have put my own little tweaks and changes on it to make it more applicable for student life. And to make it a little clearer, I'm going to use a common example of a goal that students have: to increase your GPA. So the S stands for specific. You want to make sure your goal is as defined and well thought out as possible. The statement, "I want to increase my GPA," is pretty vague. To make it more specific, we can say, "I want to increase my GPA by 1 grade point," for instance. Now it's a lot more clear on what you're trying to achieve. The M stands for measurable. This basically means you can give a concrete yes or no as to if you've achieved the goal at the end of the period. So with something like GPA, it already is measurable because all you need to do is calculate your grades to find out your GPA. But for other goals that you have, you might want to keep that in mind and change it to suit. Now the A is one that I have changed to mean actionable. By actionable, I mean that you can do things to directly change the goal and get your end result. So the current example isn't very actionable. There are a lot of things that you can do to improve your GPA, and we haven't really identified one or the other. One of the things that is proven to improve your GPA is studying your assigned readings before your class or your lecture. So that is something we can add into this example. Just want to call time out for 1 second. If you are enjoying this video or you're getting some sort of value from it, please leave a like, because it helps the channel grow and it tells me that this type of content is something that you're interested in. So I'll make more in the future if you do. On time. Now we're in the home stretch. In my version, the R stands for realistic. You want to make sure that your goal is actually possible to do and you're making it fairly reasonable. So in our example, maybe a whole increase of 1 grade point is a lot. So maybe we bring it down to half of a grade point instead. Similarly, you can change other things like the task. Maybe it's unrealistic for you to do the reading before each class, and instead it's more realistic that you do it in the week of each class. Either way, changing it to suit your actual routine and what you're able to do is going to make you more likely to achieve that goal later down the line. And finally, the T stands for time bound. This means that you want to make sure your goal has a fairly concrete deadline. The reason being because if something doesn't have a deadline, you're less likely to work towards it. So for our example, we have a pretty sensible deadline, which is at the end of the semester. I like to keep the deadlines for my goals fairly short, around 3 to 4 months, because if it's too long, you run the risk of getting stuck in a routine that you don't really need to be in anymore, or that might not align with your goals anymore. So keeping it in those short chunks allows you to change for the next quarter of the year or for the next semester and learn from your past goals as well. So now we've used the SMART framework to turn a very vague goal into one that is more concrete. So now instead it could read, to increase my GPA by half of a grade point by the end of the semester by reading my assigned readings before each lecture. Now that is a goal that is going to set you up for success, because it pretty much tells you everything that you need to do. And I think you can see the difference between these two as well. So now that you've outlined your goal, the next step is to make sure that you keep remembering that goal that you've outlined. So you want to make it visual. You want to put it up in your room in a place that you'll see it very frequently. I personally love to use post-it notes and just write the goal on it and put it in front of my desk. Boom, I'll always see it. I'll always remember it. The next thing you want to do is to set aside time in your day and your week where you'll put in effort towards that goal. So what might happen when you make your goal is you start really well and you're really motivated, but then that motivation fades because motivation is temporary, realistically. So what can really help is, while you're still motivated and committed to that task, to put aside time in your schedule where you will do that thing and where you will only do that thing. That is going to make it so that you can easily and better make a habit and form that and keep it going so that you can achieve your goals easier and easier down the line. If you want to learn a little bit more about habit formation, I previously made 2 videos all about that topic, and you can check them out in the description because those will really help you in conjunction with this video. Okay, so now that your goal is set and your reminders are in place, now it's time to actually do the tough part and put in the effort towards that goal, day in, day out, week in, week out. But something that is really important in this phase that a lot of people forget is to track your progress. Tracking makes it so that you have a record of your achievement towards a goal, and it also tells you if you're keeping on track with where you want to be and if you need to change things in your routine to get back on that track. It can also be a motivating factor too, because if you get a decent stretch of success, you can see that success and it's going to push you to keep getting more success and to put more effort into that goal. You can do tracking with templates on a sheet of paper where you just hang it up and you tick the day when you've done the effort towards your goal. I always prefer the pen and paper because it gives a more satisfying feeling when you make that check mark. Whatever you choose, make sure it is a place where you will see it and update it consistently. That's the most important part. Track your progress. It is very important because what doesn't get tracked doesn't get done. The final tip that I have for this video, and probably the best one in terms of your motivation, is to get an accountability partner. This technique is one that I have used a lot in my life and is one of my favorite tools to keep me on track with my goals. An accountability partner is basically a friend or family member who you tell your goal to and then you continually check up with in order to tell them your progress. An accountability partner makes it so that you're not keeping these goals to yourself, and just the act of telling them and putting it out into the open is going to make it feel a lot more real and a lot more concrete. It is one thing to fail or slip up and feel like you're disappointing yourself, but it is a complete another thing to know you'll have to tell your accountability partner about that failure or that slip up. It's going to propel you to put in the extra effort in order to avoid that outcome and to get to your successes. Plus, if your friend or family member is also trying to achieve a goal, it can be a really wholesome and nice way for both of you all to push each other forward through that relationship of being each other's accountability partners. So those are my tips on how you can set and achieve goals as a student. If you follow each of them, they're going to help you make those goals and keep them going to get that future success. If you found value in this video, please drop a like and feel free to comment anything that stood out to you. Also, if you like content like this, feel free to subscribe to get self-development tips and tools to help you be better than you were the day before. Seeing you subscribe helps to keep me motivated to make more videos that will eventually help you as well. So it's a nice feedback loop. But that is all that I have for you today. I wish you the best in your goals. My name is Isaiah, and I hope you keep improving. Take care.